We are live. It is Tuesday. It is another edition of the Desmond Johnson Show. My man Jaelen Gilkey in the house from WFMY News 2 Sports Anchor. We got a lot to touch on. It's a real NFL heavy episode, of course, with the playoffs going on. Wildcard Weekend just ended. Heading to the divisional round. We got some questions. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys of all teams are going to lead off the show like they typically do as they let Coach Mike McCarthy pretty much walk out the door last night as his contract ended. Who would be the best coach to coach America's team? We'll talk about that, who the NFL MVP should be, and much, much more. Sit down, eat your lunch, enjoy it. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. Let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city need that. I've been #1, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you won't and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's 4th and inches. I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And welcome into a brand new edition of the Desmond Johnson Show, the Tuesday edition here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. If you haven't yet, rate and subscribe to Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel. You can catch us a couple days a week. You can catch the Keep Pounding Podcast Network there with a bunch of Carolina Panther-centric podcasts. A lot of stuff over there that's North Carolina sports-centric podcast stuff. So definitely go check that out, rate and subscribe. In the house, Jaelen Gilkey from WFMY News 2, sports anchor extraordinaire in the house. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? How was your break?
It was blessed, man. You know, holiday season is always a great time. Spend some time with family. You know, I work most of the time, but it's all good. You know, somebody's got to do it, right? How about you? How you been, man?
Nature of the business. You know what? I had a kind of a quiet holiday. Normally, me and my wife, we kind of host like a Christmas Eve party, and then we do Christmas dinner and do it all big. But this year, man, like we had so much stuff going on, and I had like a couple of surgeries like over the summer. Like I feel like once a month I was having something going on, and but this year we just decided, you know what, we're just gonna do movie night with the kids. Christmas Eve, just the four of us. Christmas morning was just the four of us. We went to my mother-in-law's for dinner for a couple of hours, and we just kind of took the time for ourselves to recharge. And it was, I ain't gonna lie, it was great. I needed it. Like I needed just a little space to just kind of look back on the year. And it's been a great year. It was a great year, 2024 for Tobacco Road. Thanks to folks like you and others that have come in to help out, pitching in, doing their thing, and just helping with local sports and just getting it out there for people who have been wondering where can they get this kind of content. So I definitely appreciate you and others that have come through on Tobacco Road over the past couple of years, really kind of help grow it into the brand that it is now. I wanted to, for y'all that don't know, Jaelen co-hosts with me on Tuesdays. He rotates with the illustrious David Glenn on Tuesdays when we go back and forth. And typically we do three things I love, hated this past weekend. And a lot of it's NFL related. But one of the things I saw that I'm not sure if I did hate it because of the way they did it. And it was the Dallas Cowboys. And it's the way they treated Mike McCarthy. Because if I'm not mistaken, earlier in the week, they blocked him from going to go interview with the Chicago Bears. Yeah. And then last night comes out, well, they're not going to renew his contract. Gone and exit stage right. Mike McCarthy, you're no longer the head coach of America's team. I'll just put it out there because there's betting odds on who they might get and who not. And I just finished speaking with Jonathan Stewart on Believe in Panthers, and I gave him two options that I thought would be great for him. Who do you think would be the best head coach going forward, considering the situation, the roster, and everything else, and who owns the team of the Dallas Cowboys? Who do you think would be the best one?
Honestly, I think, the owner is the more critical factor here than the roster. They got a pretty talent-laden roster. Could use a little bit of help on the offensive side of the ball, in the run game, maybe another wide receiver, playmaker to go opposite of CD Lamb. The defense has a pretty good base already, got some big names on it, to say the least. Some guys that have had great careers, some guys that have had some really big moments. So it's not like the roster in Dallas is the issue. The issue is truly the owner. I'm not afraid to say that. I think it's something that a lot of people in the world understand.
Yeah.
Especially because he's, the general manager as well. And he's 82 years old. I'm not trying to be ageist or anything like that, but it's just the older you get, the more set in your ways you become.
It matters.
There's a point where you're maturing and you're evolving, and then you cross that threshold, and then you're kind of just stuck in the way you are. And I think that's where Jerry's at right now. And it's to the detriment of his organization and to his fan base. But the bottom line is not being affected, so Jerry doesn't really care. And I don't really know who could be the coach for the Dallas Cowboys at this point and be successful. I think I thought Bill was a good option. Bill Belichick was a good option for a while, but I don't see that working. I don't see that happening now, especially that he's landed in Chapel Hill. I think.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
I think Bill's enjoying himself in Chapel Hill. I think he's enjoying the freedom, and it's a win-win situation for him, right? He gets full control of the program because that's what college coaches usually have. They have full control of the program. He's brought in his best friend, his guy, Michael Lombardi, to do the books, to make sure the numbers are right and that everybody's happy financially. Lombardi had been out the game for a while as well, so they're both able to scratch that itch to be back in the game that they love so much. I don't see how going to Dallas would fix that problem. He's the only person I really know with enough spine, backbone, charisma, and a long enough and impressive enough resume that Jerry would be like, okay, like, I understand this is what you want, this is how you need it. But I don't think Jerry would have been able to acquiesce at that point either. So I think it's a no-win job. I know the name you're gonna say is Deion, and the reports that are circling about Deion and Jerry having a conversation.
Do you believe?
I always believe. So I'm not gonna lie and say I don't, but I do not believe that that's a good match. I don't think that's something that Deion would truly want to do. I think he respects Jerry and the things and the opportunities that Jerry has provided for him and his family. So he will respect his time, take the interview, speak with the man, kind of talk. But I don't think he'll jump into that because it's just too much. It's too much. And for Deion's already a lot.
Yeah,
he's already a lot. And I think the Jerry Jones circus is too much.
See, now Deion's the first thing that pops up because of course, he played for the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. They have a great relationship and everything else. I'm leaning another way with Deion now after speaking with Stu and kind of sitting on it for like an hour. I'm kind of shifted someplace else because that's the narrative that everybody wants. We already talked about the Cowboys anyway. They didn't make the playoffs, and we always lead off with the Cowboys on all these national shows because it's the Dallas Cowboys. And there's like a couple positions in sports that are just kind of like vaunted, like starting pitcher for the Yankees or first baseman for the Yankees or starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. The head coach of the Dallas Cowboys kind of carries that a little bit because it's the Dallas Cowboys. And some of that's manufactured by the Cowboys and the national media too, just to get clicks and whatnot, because they do bring controversy and everything else. Deion and Jerry in Dallas would be a big deal. But this was something I brought up to Stu earlier today. We don't really know how good of a coach Deion truly is because we've never seen Deion coach without Shador as his quarterback. And we don't know how good of a quarterback Shador is because we've never seen him without Deion as his head coach. So, like, we don't really know what they are without each other. And something else that I've mentioned a lot, too, if you look at Deion's career, playing career, television career, and now coaching career, he rarely stays anywhere longer than 4 years.
He get moving, man.
He be bouncing. Like,
that's his MO.
That's his thing.
And it's because his personality may wear on you a bit.
Yeah.
Some of the things that he's going to require, the level that he wants things to be at, might wear on somebody that is considered a boss or his management or boss or whoever's his direct superior.
Corral Deion Sanders.
You can't corral Deion.
Yeah, it's been that way since he showed up in the fur coat and the glasses at Florida State. Like, you can't wrap your arms around what primetime is. And if you had to go any place pro-wise, I would think that would work. But there's another place too that actually might fit this whole timeline. And that's Las Vegas. I can see him going to Las Vegas because they have a top 3 pick in the draft and they need a quarterback. So I can see them drafting Shador and Deion coming over after they draft him and leaving Colorado. That's not even very far away from where he's living right now in Colorado. He can just go right up the highway. Like, it's good to go. So I can see that happening. The guy landed on this morning when I woke up. I wasn't thinking about it. And then I was like, yeah, actually, that would make a lot of sense. And it fits the kind of coach that Jerry Jones would want. Why not Ron Rivera in Dallas? They need a defensive mind. They need someone. They've got the pieces. They've got a franchise quarterback. They've got a number 1 wide receiver. They need to get a running back. But this running back draft class is loaded this year. He's got pieces. He give Ron Rivera, Micah Parsons, and some of those pieces in the secondary, like, and they're healthy, he can turn that Cowboys defense to a top 10 defense next year. Like, literally, like, they can get this thing going fast. And Rivera has an interview with the Bears, I think, on Wednesday. And I'm like, sentimental-wise, because I love Ron Rivera, I'd rather get the Bears job just because I know what that would mean to him. And he was the defensive coordinator in 05 when they got to the Super Bowl. He
played with the Bears too, right?
Yeah, he played on the he's from my understanding, he came in the offseason of 85. So he wasn't on the 85 Bears, but he came in that offseason after they won the Super Bowl and was their starting linebacker from 86 onward. So he played with those guys. So he's got Bears blood in his body. If he had to go anywhere, he'd probably choose to go to the Bears. And they've got pieces for him to work with as soon as he steps off the plane too. Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, the kid Rome from Washington, the rookie that they got in the top 10. They got some defensive pieces. So there's pieces there too. But that division's that division's really hard.
I think we learned that Minnesota was a fraud anyway, and Green Bay. So I mean, honestly,
hey, Sam Darnold, man, Sam Darnold finally showed up.
I don't even think that was it, man. Their offensive line was leaking so bad. I mean, bro, they got sacked. He got sacked 9 times, and 2-3 of them he was holding that ball.
Past couple of weeks, he was kind of he was throwing the ball real high.
I was watching that game and I was cringing because he was getting his head ripped off back there.
Yeah, and see now Minnesota's got a situation where it's like, okay, you drafted JJ McCarthy. He was supposed to be the starter. Sam wasn't even supposed to be the starter.
I don't see what all the hooting and hollering about with JJ
McCarthy.
If you go to college, and your last year in an important game, in a conference game, and your team runs the ball 35 consecutive times, that lets me know what your coach thinks about you.
Go Blue. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't really see it.
Those are my two.
I would say that I don't know if there's going to be another place that gives Deion as much free reign as Colorado did because of how poor of a situation it was. You know, how desperate that athletic department was to just turn around the football program. And, I mean, they walked in. They let him walk in and do however he needed to do it, and he's built that program up. So,
honestly,
like you said, he doesn't stay in any place very long. So I would imagine maybe this year, maybe one more after that, but I don't know about year 5, 6, or 7.
No, 7, I can't see Deion staying at Colorado 5-6 years. I don't think anybody thinks he's going to be there 5 or 6 years. If I'm Florida State, I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, what are we doing? Why didn't we?
I think they're on the list. I think they're on his ish list. I think they're on his ish list.
Yeah, they skipped him, and Deion.
And that's one thing about Deion. Like, once you're on his ish list,
you ain't coming off.
It ain't no coming back.
You stand, even if it's your alma mater, and that would have been perfect. So, shout out to Florida State. I love ragging on Florida State for all the nonsense they caused with the whole trying to break up the ACC and everything else. And we're the big dogs, and without us, you can't have an ACC brand. And then they go out and literally lose like every game after they filed that case. Literally, like, they just forgot how to play football. So the dangers of the transfer portal. Let's go into. I haven't had John since this really became a 2-man race in the NFL. And one of the 3 things that I saw this weekend I wanted to talk about, besides the Deion to Cowboys stuff, is the case of Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen for in NFL MVP. Poor Josh Allen. Josh Allen goes out.
See. This is the problem. This right here is the problem. And you knew you was about to piss me off with this.
I try to piss you off. I'm just saying.
You knew you was.
Look, Allen.
Since when was the MVP of any league turned into woe is me?
I don't know. I don't think he's going to be MVP. That's my whole point. Like,
but
any other year, he would
people
win.
Try to spin this. When Action Jackson step in the building, brother, you better strap up your helmet.
I can't even front. Like, watching Baltimore play like offense, they go through stretches where it's like that first half this past weekend. I'm like, how do you stop this? Like, what are you supposed to do? Because you literally have to allocate an actual man for Lamar, like, because you don't know what he's going to do. And no, you don't have to do that. But for, like, if you're playing the Chiefs, you probably need one for Pat Mahomes. If you're playing Buffalo, you probably kind of need to do it for Josh Allen. But there is maybe Jalen Daniels. There's no quarterback in the league really where you got to have just one dude.
No,
and there was times they had 2. Yeah, they had 2 dudes watching Lamar. And I'm like, really? This is crazy. And he's running past them. So it's like the dude has 40-something plus overall touchdowns for the year, Lamar, and like 4 interceptions, I believe. He played a better season than his MVP season last year. Like, he's at I was just saying this a minute ago. He has entered for me that period of time when after Jordan won his first title, like 92, 93, where he started toying with the league a little bit. Like he might take the second quarter off, come back in the third, score 16, mess around, get to the fourth quarter, take over the last like 8 minutes of the game and just win it and like go home. Like he got to the point where that was when he was shooting free throws with his eyes closed, like toying with people and stuff. Lamar is doing that right now, it feels like, and he don't even realize it. Like I don't even think he knows. He's not at it. We're not seeing him at his ceiling. Like, I don't think. I think he can still get better. And that I can't even imagine what that looks like. So he's at a point, I think he's gonna win MVP. That'll put him in an elite category. He'll have 3. How old is Lamar Jackson?
I think he's 28.
He'll have 3 league MVP awards before the age of 28. And I think Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning. 28. Yes, I think Rodgers and Manning, I think are the only 2 that have 3 regular season MVP awards. I gotta go check that. I know Manning has 3. I want to say
Rodgers has 4.
Rodgers has 4. Okay, so he'll be in that category. Both of them have rings. Has Lamar made it to the conference championship yet?
Yeah, they played the Chiefs last year.
Okay, that was Kansas City. Okay, so and that kudos Kansas City because they were on the road when they did that.
17-10, Zay Flowers fumbled at the goal line.
And that was the game where we were like,
why is Baltimore
not running the football? Yeah.
Ran the ball 12 times total. LeBron ran it 6. Running backs ran it 6.
Stu just told me if Derrick Henry don't get 20 carries every game the rest of this playoffs, then even if they win the game, the offensive coordinator needs to be fired.
Absolutely.
Like,
so check this out. I learned something very interesting last night. In Lamar Jackson's playoff career, there's only been one running back that has registered more than 50 yards in a playoff game with the Ravens. One.
I'm trying to think of who that would be.
You wouldn't be able to tell me.
Yeah, it's going to be some journeyman or something.
No, he's on the team right now, Justice Hill.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed it. Yeah, no.
He had 60. Justice Hill had 66 yards against the Houston Texans in the divisional round last year. That's the most a running back has had on a team with Lamar Jackson in the playoffs.
Why do you think that is? Like, why? No,
well, they just different because it's just there's no way they have this. Look,
no way.
I mean, when Derrick Henry just ran for 186, that's triple. Yeah. That's triple.
let's not run Derrick Henry next week. Let's say
literally triple. Like so, I don't understand why that is, what the case was, but that cannot happen this year. It cannot happen this year.
So that's one of the things there. Lamar, I think, is locked up the MVP. Just that first. Now, granted, the Steelers are backing into the playoffs. They lost their last 5 games, and I don't know. I'm seeing people talking about, and mainly it's my Steeler friends. They're like, they're tired of Mike Tomlin. They're tired of this nonsense. We tired of winning games every year and then losing in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game, I think, since 2009. I think I saw, like, which is crazy when you think about it.
I know he's over his. No, it's not 9. It's 2016, I think.
2016. It's been a long time since he won one.
He's over his last 6 for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of that's because of quarterback play. Really, since you lost Roethlisberger, he hasn't won.
I mean, you know, them last 2 have been though. Because I mean, even in 2020 when they went 11-0 to start the year, and then they lost the last 7.
Yep, same thing.
They lost the last 6 regular season, and in the playoffs they got smacked by Cleveland.
They were 10-2 at one point this year, and we were like,
I was telling all my Steelers friends, I was like, hey. This reminds me of 11-0. I just want y'all to know.
Yeah, I kind of figured Russell will peter out.
I had a couple personal bets from after the Ravens beat them. Was that right before Christmas?
Yeah,
or maybe Thanksgiving or whatever.
It was somewhere in between there. Yeah.
I had a couple personal bets with my 2 of my Steelers friends. I said y'all will lose every game from here on out the rest of the season. I said he said we already clinched the playoffs. I said you will lose that game too.
What do they do now? Because we were applauding their quarterback room at the beginning of the year. I'm like, wow, you got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in your quarterback room for like $1 million or something nuts from what they did with everything. I don't know if either one of them are going to be back next year as quarterback.
I think you got to bring Justin back because he didn't.
I would, yeah.
He didn't get a full offseason. They traded him during the middle of the offseason, and so he got there late. And then he ended up having to be the starter because Russell got hurt. He had the strained calf. And then once Russell was healthy, then he lost that job. But if you have a full offseason with Justin Fields, he's younger. He brings a different element to the game. And you got to figure out the quarterback situation in that division because you got Lamar and you got Burrow there. And then if you look outside the division in the conference, you got Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. It's quarterbacks everywhere you look except for Pittsburgh. So they have to come up with some type of solution. They're not going to have a draft pick high enough to get one of the 2 guys that everybody wants this year. So I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe they kick the tires on Sam Darnold because he looks like he might be out there in the streets.
Somebody gonna pay him. Somebody for his regular season. Somebody will pay
I don't
Sam.
know. But I need to start. We need to circle back on this MVP conversation. I know you said it's locked up, which I appreciate.
I think so. I feel like it is, but
the one argument everybody's been having because statistically Lamar's season is better, in pretty much every metric than Josh's. Lamar won the head-to-head 35-10. I would say the one argument that most people had that were in favor of Josh Allen winning the MVP was that Lamar Jackson didn't have the best stats last year when he won the MVP, right? He didn't have the best stats in the league last year. Well, in fairness, the Ravens last year were the number 1 overall seed in the entire NFL, not just in the AFC. They had the best record in the entire NFL. They also beat the 49ers, who went 13-4. They destroyed the 49ers, who went 13-4. They destroyed the Detroit Lions, who are also 13-4. So every team that they lined up against that was a playoff caliber team or a front runner team or a team that had an MVP candidate on it, they destroyed them. Now this year, Josh Allen, they're the 2 seed in the AFC, not just the second best record in the entire league. They actually would have the 4th best record after head-to-head in the entire league. So that argument goes out the window. Plus, the only 2 teams that the Bills beat this season that are in the playoffs was the Kansas City Chiefs, and I do believe it was the Kansas City Chiefs and it was the Detroit Lions. Those are the only 2 teams that the Buffalo Bills beat all season that made the playoffs. That's not an MVP performance.
So you're saying Bills might be Bulls called, maybe.
And we'll see on this Sunday.
Yeah, we'll find out
because if they come out if they play that first half like they played against the Broncos, they'll be down 28. They'll be down 28.
We haven't really seen Buffalo like down this year either. So
that's the only time we saw them down was against the Ravens.
The Ravens and the Ravens held 10 points.
They laid down.
Yeah. So like they literally took Josh Allen out of that game in the 4th quarter. I remember like they kind of waved the white flag.
35-10.
Yep. So
35-10 going into the 4th quarter.
That's the game I'm looking forward to the most in the division round is Ravens Bills. Because I feel like
I don't think the Bills are physical enough, man. I don't think they want it's going to be 6 degrees and the King is hosting a slumber party. I'm telling you, he's been putting folks to sleep all year long. He's been handing out concussions.
The biggest hurdle the Ravens to me are going to have is going to Kansas City and beating them in Arrowhead, where Pat Mahomes is undefeated in the playoffs.
They got to take it one game at a time. Can't look ahead of that. Got to handle the road visit, the high mark.
The third thing before I get you out of here, and I know everybody's got to get back from their lunch breaks or whatnot. I appreciate everybody stopping by on this live version of the Desmond Johnson Show. I want real quick, I'm going into ACC hoops, and of course the ACC is down this year considerably. You got Duke, and then you kind of got everyone else right now. Are you buying this Cooper Flagg? Like, I don't want to call it hype because the dude is a good player, but do you think it was a little too much the reaction to his dunk 2 games ago? He came down the lane or came down on a fast break, dunked on a 7-footer. I'm seeing people compare it to Zion and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, it was great. I mean, he dunked on a 7-foot dude. I ain't gonna clown him for something I can't do. But Zion, really? Like Zion's kind of there's a difference between a good basketball player and seeing something you haven't seen before. Yeah. Zion was doing stuff we hadn't seen before, like his bounce, his like I don't know. It's hard to explain, like, but you know it when you see it. Are you catching that with Cooper Flagg when you watch him play? Or are you just like, man, this is a really sound, fundamental basketball player?
Cooper Flagg is cold, man.
He's good. He's so good. I think the Hornets are tanking for him.
I like his game because he leads Duke in every stat except for blocks. Yeah. Oh no. Excuse me.
It's not. I saw it the other day.
I think it is blocks. I think Malik was leading the team. He leads them in points, steals, assists, and rebounds. Well, maybe not steals. Maybe it's Malik that leads them in steals. But he leads them in points, rebounds, assists, and I'm pretty sure it's blocks a game.
And he does a little bit of everything.
Everything. He plays a lot better defense than I anticipated, like on-ball defense than I anticipated.
Yeah.
He's got a complete game, all 3 levels. Now the dunk was good.
Dunk was good. Douglas
It
Cook.
wasn't no Zion. Zion.
No, no, it wasn't. I'm seeing people trying to frame it the same way. I'm like, you're kind of doing Zion a disservice here because Zion doing 360.
Let's remember, Zion bust out a pair of shoes. We ain't never seen that before.
No, we ain't never seen that before. We lost the shoe.
He blew out a Nike. Like,
what did he? He had the one dunk. I think it was Clemson or Virginia.
It was
where he came by himself and did a 360, like by himself on a fast break. Cooper Flagg ain't doing that. Like, and
I'm sure he can, but it's like,
I'm
Zion,
sure he can.
Like the way Zion rocked the rim, like
it's just different. There's a difference to this.
Every time Zion dunked, I thought he was about to snap the goal.
Yeah. And it was always like when you saw Zion dunk, you're like, he's not supposed to be able to jump like that. Like, that was the thrill of it. You're watching an almost 280-pound, 6'6" kid like do this on people. Cooper Flagg is what, like 6'10" or something like that?
Yeah,
6'9", 6'10". Yeah. And again, I think my Charlotte Hornets are tanking for him. They're not going to say it out loud, but like when you got LaMelo Ball resting for ankle injury for surgery he had like a year and a half ago, or a wrist injury that he had messed up in a while, they tanking for Cooper Flagg. Because look at their roster. You saw Cooper Flagg right there at the 4.
That's what I was about to say. It's perfect fit.
That's what they need. Yeah, you'd have LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Mark Williams, Cooper Flagg, and Miles Bridges.
Yeah,
I can run with that. I can run with if you can keep
them
together. Yeah, if you can keep them together for 3-4 years.
Though, man, it's the same issue with Charlotte every year. It's just so young, no vet.
Yeah, and they can't stay healthy. Like that's the thing. Because this year, because I write for Sports Illustrated for the Hornets, and it's like we were all looking at it like if they can just all be on the court, we can see what we have. But that's the problem. And then you see like these other young teams like Oklahoma City, where like you're seeing these young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shout out to you. We drafted you and then traded you to Oklahoma City. So you see, trade him to the Clippers. Oh, and then he went to Oklahoma City. You're right. Because that was the Westbrook thing. I think that's how he ended up in Oklahoma City, wasn't it? When
Paul George.
I knew it was one of the two. That trade is what ended up making him over there. But you see the roster makeup that they have, and they're so young. They just got it right. They just got lucky and got it right. 3-4 picks in a row, knew how to fill it out. They still got a bunch of draft picks, and you see them at the top of the West. You see Charlotte, same kind of idea. Young nucleus. You've got an all-star in LaMelo. You just can't keep people. Mark Williams has played like 30% of the games he could have played. Same for LaMelo.
When your best player, I was about to say, when your best player is not available,
you don't know what you have.
It's tough, man.
And now they've won like what? I think 8 games like so far this season. I think they're in the 3rd slot for the draft. And I was like, I've always said you can't tank in the NFL. There's too many players on the team that need tape. That the average NFL career is 2-3 years.
Too many guys gonna get cut.
Yeah, these dudes aren't going to be like, you go to one of these NFL backup offensive linemen and be like, hey, yo, we want you to kind of not play well because there's this kid we want to draft out of Colorado.
Perfect example. Amir Smith Marset. You know, when the Giants last game of the season, they're supposed to be tanking to secure their draft spot. He take the kickoff back to the house. He needs good tape. He's already been cut by the Panthers this year.
Yeah, we picked him up after that and ended up cutting him again. But that tape probably helped him get that job. So like, there's players need jobs. NBA is a little different. You got 12 to 15 players on a roster. You can manipulate the lineups where you don't win games. You know, Philly did it for half a decade before they got Joel Embiid.
And they got nothing.
I think Charlotte's kind of doing that right now.
Philly ain't got nothing but an MVP trophy.
All they got out of it, that whole thing. So, I mean, I feel like if they can just get that, and Cooper Flagg's going to be the #1 pick. So you literally going to have to bottom out, like literally. And that's kind of what they're doing.
And you got to win the lottery too.
And you got to win the lottery. And that's not easy either. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. But I wanted to bring up the Cooper Flagg thing because I saw people trying to, I don't want to say inflate it.
Hey.
I'm just like, you don't need it. Hey. You don't need to inflate it with him. He's good already.
42 is 42.
He did drop that 40 burger on whoever that was.
Too.
Yeah. I
think he missed 4 shots.
He's good. He's good. He's great. He's fantastic. Matter of fact, I don't like acknowledging it because he plays for Duke and everybody knows I hate Duke.
I'm about to say that's all this is. It's more hate.
It's hate. But it's a different kind of hate because again, these kids don't stay long enough for me to genuinely hate them. I think the last Duke kid I really hated was Grayson Allen, and he was there 4 years. Like the rest of them, I love Zion. It felt weird to cheer for him like in a Duke outfit. And some of these guys, I don't even know who they are because they just came in or they're freshmen. They're going to be there 8 months, that kind of thing. I'm dealing with my own problems with my Tar Heels, although they might have turned around. So
I like Ian Jackson.
And Drake Powell. they both.
Hubert had to let him off the leash.
Yeah. Ian is a problem. He's a bucket. So dude, you know what I wish as we get out of here? I wish the portal was open in season. I wish you could trade players in middles because Carolina needs some like big men, and they don't have them. And there's no way to fix it in January. So like if they can make a trade with Wake Forest or somebody and get like a big man or two,
Elon got a 7'4" guy today.
Just some dude at High Point or someplace that nobody's talking about. Bring him in. Like, oh, who's this? Oh, they just brought him in off the portal. You get one portal transfer mid-season every year. I wish they could do that, but Carolina's kind of figuring it out, letting the freshmen play.
Yeah, he better figure it out.
Look, this whole Hubert Davis on the hot seat nonsense, he's not on the hot seat. I mean, he's fine. They struck out on some NIL stuff. They're trying to fix all that. Belichick, that trickle down is going to help them on the basketball team too. Okay. There's a kid between them and Kentucky right now. It's a center they're trying to get. They'll be okay.
I bet you he'd go to Rupp. I bet you he'd go to Rupp.
Oh, the kid. I don't understand. Carolina's got the lead. It's gonna come down to money. Like the kid they lost that ended up going to BYU out of all these places. It was like Carolina, Kansas, and BYU. And BYU got it because they paid him $5 million.
Getting the bunch.
It's all. And that's probably another conversation for another day because NIL is kind of. I've seen a lot of the people. I'm 40. I'll be 47 on Sunday.
What do you say? It's hard to say. Damn.
I'll see. It's at the point where I got to remember how old I am. Like I asked my wife, "How old am I again?" She's like, "You're 46." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." But I've seen people older than me waxing for the days of old when you could watch the ACC and you knew every player on the team and you grew with them and that kind of thing. And now they're saying college basketball isn't as enjoyable because they don't recognize the players. I understand that sentiment to a certain degree. But I never really rooted in college basketball in particular. I never rooted for actual players so much as I did the actual school. Whereas in the NBA, you root for the player more than you do the team, kind of, I guess. And that's the way they market it, too. They market the player. Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers taking on Larry Bird and the Boston. Like, that's how they kind of do it in the NBA. They don't really do it like that in college basketball. They never really have. So I kind of get it. And Carolina's one of those last teams where kids kind of stay like a year longer than maybe they should have. So you kind of get to know them a little better. Or the case of Armando Bacot, where he stayed 5 years. RJ Davis this year. He might have stayed a year too long.
They ain't got nowhere to go.
They ain't got nowhere to go. Yeah, I mean, RJ's getting $2 million to be big man on campus at Carolina and play basketball. Or he could go to the Swarm and make $200,000 and be living in Greensboro eating steaks.
He's going to end up on the Swarm for sure.
He's going to be big man on campus. So I understand it. I get it. And shout out to them because that might be the peak of their basketball career.
Hey, you don't know. Your money, baby.
Money. So we're going to go ahead and roll out. I know I kept you guys a little bit longer than I said we were going to, but that's kind of what we do here. Jalen's got to get back to work too, I assume. So he'll catch him on WFMY News 2 Sports throughout the week. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode, probably ACC basketball loaded. So we'll get you ready for that as well. And some games on Wednesday night. Both Carolina and Duke will be playing on Wednesday, so we'll get you ready for that too. So for Jaelen, this is Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the Desmond Johnson Show. We'll see you tomorrow.